Welcome to You Solve the Case. Today we have a new set of cases, so please watch carefully.
In every family, love speaks loudly, but tonight, hatred sits quietly at the table. An untouched slice of cake, a Father's Day card, and a killer hiding in plain sight. Tonight, the investigation is in your hands. I'm Inspector Mara Vale. You will hear the statements and examine the evidence. Then you'll have 5 seconds to name the murderer. We play by fair play rules. No hidden evidence, no sudden twists, and no guessing. To solve this, you only need logic and a sharp eye for detail. Edward Hale was a man of immense wealth and even greater control. He gathered his family for dinner, though few of them shared the affection he demanded. The evening followed a strict schedule. Dinner began at 8:10 p.m. Dessert was served at 8:45. 7 minutes later, Edward collapsed. The cause was a fast-acting poison, meaning the toxin had to be administered during the dinner itself. There were 5 family members at the table. All 5 had a motive to see him gone. Finding the killer means looking past the panic and mapping the physical evidence to their exact movements. Thomas, the oldest son, was about to be cut out of the family company. He insists he never touched his father's food or drink. Lydia, the daughter, felt nothing but resentment. She claims she stayed in her seat the entire time and only gave Edward a card. Marcus, the son-in-law, was drowning in debt. He poured the wine but notes that everyone drank from the same bottle. Claire, Edward's wife, sat through a failing marriage. She served dessert, pointing out that every guest received the same cake. Finally, the youngest son, Daniel. He was recently removed from the will. He says he gave Edward a silver pen before dinner and never went near him again. 5 people, 5 stories, but the table holds a truth that contradicts their polite statements. Chemical tests cleared the wine bottle and the cake. If the poison was there, everyone would be dead. Edward's personal plate and silverware were also clean. His wine glass showed no traces of any toxin, ruling out standard ingestion through the meal itself. However, a few items on the table were not part of the dinner service. Next to Edward's plate sat Lydia's Father's Day card, open to a handwritten message. Look closely. On Edward's right thumb, there is a fresh, dark ink stain. Right beside the card was Daniel's gift, the silver pen, with its cap removed. The lack of poison in the food means the delivery mechanism was something the family considered completely harmless. So who killed Edward Hale? Think about the card, the ink on his thumb, and that silver pen. You have 5 seconds. Logic leads to only one person. Daniel is the killer. His alibi relied on the idea that he stayed far away from Edward once the meal began. He claimed the transaction of the gift was over before dinner even started. But the open card and the ink on Edward's thumb confirm the pen was handled right at the table during dessert. Daniel coated the tip of that silver pen with a lethal contact poison. When Edward used it to write in the card, the poison transferred to his thumb. Seconds later, while eating dessert, Edward touched his lips, ingesting the toxin Daniel left behind. This specific delivery method is why the communal food and the wine remained perfectly clean. Daniel used his distance as a shield, but the gift he left behind did the work for him. Daniel avoided the food and wine because he turned the gift itself into a delivery system. He didn't need to touch the plate. He just needed his father to touch the pen. It's a grim irony that Edward's final act was acknowledging a gift from the son who planned his death, a calculated assassination disguised as a family tradition. Did you solve the mystery before the reveal? Let us know in the comments. Subscribe for the next case file. Inspector Mara Vale will return. Case closed. Fire is a messy way to destroy evidence,
but it leaves a very specific trail for anyone looking at the logic of the room. Tonight, we aren't guessing. We're looking at what the flames couldn't hide. The timeline is tight. The lounge locks its doors at midnight. By 12:18 a.m., the manager's office was already pouring smoke. The damage was concentrated here, in the back office. While the building was technically closed, 5 people were still inside, scattered across the floor plan. Everyone claimed it was an electrical accident, but accidents don't usually involve a door that was locked from the inside. To solve this, we have to find the one story that contradicts the way smoke and fire actually behave. Start with who was where. Leo, the bartender, says he never left the bar while closing up. Celia, the singer, claimed she was on the stage the entire time, packing her equipment. Grant, the security guard, was at the front entrance. He notes that the office door was already closed when he walked past it on his final rounds. Nina, the assistant manager, says she was in the storage room counting receipts. She's the last one to claim the office was empty before the smoke appeared. And then there's Mr. Ash, a customer waiting for a taxi, who says he never left his table in the main lounge. 5 different locations, but only one path leads to the fire. We have to look at the room itself to see who was lying. This office was restricted. The electronic lock only accepts staff keys, and the frame shows no signs of a break-in. Right at the office threshold, nowhere near the customer tables, investigators found a silver lighter and a broken cocktail glass with a lipstick mark. The floor here was soaked in high-proof alcohol that didn't come from the bar's taps. The most telling detail is the soot. Smoke stains show the door was standing wide open while the fire was growing, but it was snapped shut after the hallway had already filled with gray haze. That means our arsonist had a staff key, and they were still at the door long after the smoke started pouring out. Look at the door. Look at the stories. Who set the fire? Nina Cole set the fire. Her statement was designed to place her away from the office, but the physics of the room proved she was standing right at the door. Access was the first hurdle. The customer and the singer couldn't get through that door without a key. As assistant manager, Nina had the only card. That explains how the fire started inside a locked room with no forced entry. That broken glass at the threshold was her delivery system. She used it to carry the alcohol back to the office to ensure the fire spread fast, leaving the lipstick mark as a clumsy attempt to point toward a customer. But the door gives her away. Nina had to leave the door open for the fire to catch oxygen, which let the smoke into the hall. She only closed it once it was roaring, just before Grant walked by and saw it shut. When you combine the specific key access with the timing of that door, Nina is the only person who fits. Access, opportunity, and a false statement. Case closed. At 8:50 p.m., the vault at Monarch Diamonds was discovered empty. Millions in rare stones had vanished just minutes before the store was set to lock down for the night. Inside jobs succeed because the thief knows exactly which blind spots the owners ignore. This theft relied on the absolute predictability of the store's nightly routine. To solve this case, you must analyze the employee statements and the physical evidence. Success depends on logic and observation. Finding the truth requires looking past the obvious misdirection and identifying the single anomaly hidden in the mundane. The timeline begins at 8:50 p.m. 10 minutes before closing, the manager discovered the primary diamond tray was missing from the safe. The exterior security remained perfectly intact. There was no shattered glass, no sign of forced entry on the vault, and the digital logs showed no unauthorized access to the building. Investigation narrowed the focus to 4 employees. Each one possessed a different fragmented piece of the security protocol,
from the camera controls to the safe combinations. Fragmented security creates a specific vulnerability. When a thief understands the entire system, they can weaponize the closing routine to mask their movements. Cashier Nora has the register code and stayed on the floor. Manager Martin has the safe combination and locked it at 8:30. Guard Eli controls cameras, noting no entry after 8:35. Specialist Vivian knows stone values. She was cleaning display jewelry. Each suspect performed a task that appeared entirely standard. However, a routine task can easily serve as a disguise for the theft itself. The vault's keypad showed 0 signs of tampering. The lock was opened using a valid code, suggesting the thief either possessed a combination or bypassed the need for it entirely. Security footage confirms Martin left the back office at 8:35. However, the system recorded a 5-minute gap starting at 8:42 p.m., a disruption only the security lead could facilitate. On the sales floor, Vivian's cleaning cloth contained microscopic traces of jeweler's rouge and industrial diamond particulates. This specific residue is a byproduct of appraisal and cutting, typically found only in the secure back lab. Inside the safe, the velvet on the empty tray showed a lack of compression. The fibers had already begun to expand, a physical change that takes over an hour, suggesting the stones were removed long before the 8:50 discovery. Finally, the store's internal cameras caught Vivian returning to a single display necklace twice, polishing the same piece for several minutes after the rest of the display was finished. While the security gap draws the eye toward the back room, the physical traces prove that the stolen diamonds were relocated to a highly visible area during the shift. The solution lies at the intersection of the work routine, the camera gap, and the residue on the cleaning cloth. Who stole the diamonds? You have 5 seconds. Vivian Lux committed the theft. She successfully occupied her assigned post at the front counter to provide cover for the gems hidden in her hand. The heist occurred during the 8:30 p.m. inventory. Vivian used her access as a specialist to swap the rare stones out of the vault and hide them inside a low-value display necklace at the front counter. The 8:42 p.m. camera gap served as a distraction. It forced investigators to focus on the empty back room, while the diamonds were already sitting in plain sight on the sales floor. The industrial residue on Vivian's cloth proves she handled the stones after they left the lab, and the recovered fibers in the vault confirm the tray was emptied during the inventory, not during the camera gap. This heist exploited the psychological phenomenon of inattentional blindness. Observers rarely question an anomaly when it is nested within a mundane, expected work routine. Did you solve the case? Record your score in the comments and subscribe for the next file. Case closed.
Now you are a good detective, so please share, like, and subscribe.